Amid the deepening economic crisis in Sri Lanka, the political turmoil and the constitutional crisis cannot, of course, be ignored. In fact, the whole potential in terms of the people demanding is, of course, the resignation of Gotabaya Rajapaksa. But what we have seen so far is only Mahinda Rajapaksa stepping down. In fact, what we also understand is that there is a growing chorus or a demand in terms of where Mr. Sajith Premadasa, who's also the MP and the leader of the opposition, who's also expressed his willingness in terms of becoming the Prime Minister of the country. Well, thank you, sir, firstly, for joining us on NDTV here.
Thank you for having me.
My first question to you is, the entire country today is reverberating with slogans and protests demanding the resignation of Gotabaya Rajapaksa. That we have not seen yet. And there is a serious constitutional crisis. But we have seen Mahinda Rajapaksa stepping down. How is it at all helping the country?
Well, all I can tell you is, as the alternative government and the main opposition party, we are willing to take over the responsibility of governance. But the president has to resign first. So we stick to that. And that's the people's voice, and we represent the people's voice.
So you have openly been very vocal about, you want the government, or even for that matter, the Rajapaksa, to step down, and only then will you take over as the Prime Minister. But my question here is, will you be working with the other parties? Is that just going to be the SJB, or will it be SLPP as well, or any other party will be involved in terms of your constitution formation?
Provided that the essential prerequisite of the president stepping down is fulfilled, we will strive to get all parties involved in a interim national government, so that we all put our talents, energies and capabilities to addressing these gigantic issues which the people are facing.
Right. I was just coming to that. You brought up that the gigantic issues. Of course, the country is faced with the biggest deficit in terms of foreign reserves. You were telling me about, of course, now that's what you have expressed in terms of becoming the Prime Minister of the country. What is going to be your first move? Because we see it's not a matter of 1 month. It's been several months, and several months to what it has led where Sri Lanka is today. Now, people are out in the streets. They're shouting slogans. They are not just demanding the resignation. They're also saying that they want their Sri Lanka back. What will you do, for the people, what they're expecting?
Well, of course, I have to say that we will not be able to provide solutions overnight. There will always be a time lag involved, because this economic mess has taken us to the very depths of economic Armageddon. However, we are quite sure that within a reasonable time period, together with the support of the international community, using our bilateral and multilateral relationships with countries, with institutions, that we might be able to provide some basic solutions to these urgent needs, which amount to medicine, food, fuel, gas, pharmaceutical items, medical equipment, so on and so forth.
How will you do it? You still don't have that reserves. How are you planning to build on that?
Well, it's a very, very difficult and arduous task. We have to start right from the beginning. That's why I said that we won't be able to provide immediate relief. However, we shall do our very best to undertake a path-breaking approach, a new approach, a novel approach. Of course, we need the help and assistance of our bilaterals, especially India, countries such as China, Japan, who may be able to provide us with financial support, and also the help and support of multilateral institutions, which are essential for obtaining bridging finance. Yes. And we need to raise further funds to ensure that we try to cushion the shocks of structural adjustments. So it's an unenviable task, but we're up to it.
Looks like a long road to that. So India has been extensively, supporting and giving credit lines to Sri Lanka. You have always criticized the Rajapaksas always reaching out to China. In your case, what is it going to be? Is it going to be, are you going to rely on India, or will it be China?
Well, we need India's support, there's no doubt. Already, I believe your great country has supported in billions and billions of dollars, and we appreciate that. We need to take a multi-track approach. We need to get help from everyone, and we can't be picky and choosy in terms of who to approach and who not to approach. I think we should be guided by our national interest. Our national interest is to ensure that the basic human needs of the people are met, and we will try and approach all our friends in the international community to achieve our task.
Yeah, today is the Sri Lankan uprising that we are witnessing, and everybody that, we speak to, the one voice that we get to hear from them, they say, is that our land has been sold to China. Would you still take that risk in terms of course, you said you cannot be picky and choosy, and would you still take that risk when we have already seen what Rajapaksas have done?
Well, I must say that under a SJB alliance administration, Sri Lanka is not for sale. And we would only request our well-wishers and our friends to provide support in the name of humanitarianism. Okay. So it's not going to be a public auction of Sri Lanka to anybody around the world.
Okay, so coming to a very serious question over here. Back in 2015, this is between 2015 and 2019, we have seen various governments, embroiled in controversies or corruption for that matter. I'm talking about when you were the deputy leader yourself, and of course, in terms of holding the portfolio of cultural, right? The SJB, your own leaders, your party members, have been accused of the central bank bonds, the bond scam, right? How are you now? Because on the other hand, you have the people, your own people, accusing the government of stealing their money, looting them their money, and accusing them of corruption. Something similar. Corruption itself, accusations you have faced back in 2015 and 2019. How are you planning to, come before the people and say it's not going to be that?
Well, we have already come before the people. We have been elected in 2020 by the people as the alternate government. So we have legitimacy, and we have a clean group of parliamentarians. And we have embarked on a new approach, a novel approach, a path-breaking approach, a new system of governance based on values, morality, ethics, non-corruption, and ensuring that we provide service to the people and have a progressive development model for all Sri Lankans.
Okay. Would you want to really be able to tell the people of Sri Lanka, because I'm sure, they know everything. They've been seeing everything in terms of corruption that the various governments have been involved in. How would you like to come out and tell the people of Sri Lanka it's not going to be the same? Because I cannot, of course, I have to go back to the same question again. Your party have been accused of corruption, siphoning money itself.
Well, let me be very frank. We will have a new approach to tackle corruption. We will establish standalone institutions that has legal essence and constitutional entrenchment, so that when you have changes in government, those laws, rules and regulations cannot be changed. So standalone anti-corrupt institutions and machinery will help to forge a new culture, right, to eradicate corruption. We fervently believe that you have many a person championing the anti-corruption program. But I think it should not be politicians who should be catching thieves. You should establish the structures, the institutions with relevant independence, devoid of political interference, which enables those institutions to function in a depoliticized manner. Right. So institutions strengthening and supporting those institutions with the necessary resources to act independent. Okay. That's our new model for eradicating corruption.
Okay. Finally, what do you have to talk about now? We are looking at, various orders coming in from the Defense Ministry, the police. They're ordering, especially, to shoot those who vandalize properties or, they are involved in terms of looting as well. And also the president himself have declared the state under emergency. Was that, required at all?
The demonstrations that took place for more than 30 days, close upon a month, were peaceful. People and citizens of our country were exercising the democratic right.
Why do you think in the first place, he brought in the emergency? What was it?
Let me just clarify. So the people who were engaged in peaceful demonstrations were attacked by political goons and thugs of the Mahinda Rajapaksa brigade, and the whole world knows what happened next. There was a very extreme reaction. People have lost their lives, livelihoods, business institutions, enterprises, houses have been damaged, burnt. Yes. So there has been complete social mayhem and anarchy. I vehemently condemn the state terrorism perpetrated by this government and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. By the way, the President is also accountable and responsible for that, right, for attacking innocent demonstrators who were engaging in peaceful demonstrations. However, I don't condone violence. Right. Barbaric acts should not be repelled or replied by similar barbaric acts. Right. I completely deplore the violence that took place. Lives have been lost. Yes. Houses and business enterprises have been attacked. That's not Sri Lanka. That's not the way to go. We are a modern country, a modern democracy. We uphold the highest standards in human behavior, and I think we should walk the talk.
Well, thank you, Mr. Sajid Premdasa, for joining us here on NDTV. Of course, also condemning the emergency. Remember, state of emergency has been declared since last week, and there is curfew as well that we are witnessing at this point in time. And this is at a time where people continue to, protest on the streets on one hand. On the other hand, we also continue to look at people waiting in long queues, whether it's for the fuel or cooking gas or even for that matter, essential commodities. So he also goes on to say that if at all, in terms of expressing willingness of becoming the Prime Minister of the country, it should of course be with the resignation of Gotabaya Rajapaksa, and that he will come up with a newer approach. In Colombo, with camera person Govind Murthy, Shrija for NDTV.